Uh-oh. Where's the theme?
Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah, he's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop. Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thalmor Radio.
Thalmor Radio.
I don't know what's going on with the guy outside yelling about how the tax bill is due, but ignore him. He will be dealt with in time. But I do know what's going on, and that is that my name is Thalmor, and I am here to tell you about what's going on in politics and war. I am the only news source you can trust, okay? Everyone else, they will lie to you. They will tell you that the sky is blue and that grass is green. But do you know what the truth is? The truth is that the sky can sometimes be red if it's late in the evening. It can sometimes be black if it's night. It can sometimes be brown if the grass can sometimes be brown if the grass is dead, okay? Or if there's like frost on it, okay? And you are only going to get these degrees of nuance from Thalmor Radio. And so that's why you should listen to me. I will lie to you, trust Thalmor. I don't know what Zig is saying about that. I know what he's referring to. You can trust Zig too, though. I will vouch for Zig's honesty. I think he does a great job of being honest. I wish I could have been there for all of his show last Sunday, but I was dumb. I didn't make it. No, I will lie to you, trust Thalmor. I feel like Zig is messing up a word there somewhere. I don't know where, but that's okay. Actually, the sky is a mixture of all colors. That is completely right. If it's cloudy, the sky is white, just part of it. And if it's a clear day, but there's some clouds and some of the clouds are storm clouds, then it's blue, white, and gray, or maybe even black. You know? But anyways, I digress. Let me tell you guys about my entertainment for the past week. And my entertainment has been Rome Total War Remastered. Now, I'm curious, how many of you guys have played Rome Total War? I'm guessing some of you has. It's a classic. David has. Okay, thank you, Zig, for the punctuation. I now understand your statement. Rome Total War, Rome 2. Wasn't good at it, regrettably. So, I played Rome Total War. I'm trying to remember when I first got it. I think I was like 11. I was actually young. It was many years ago, and not when it first came out, but a long time ago. I got it on Steam, and I loved it. It was really fun, and I still play it to this day. Every couple years, there will be a period of time in which I play Rome a lot. My favorite faction is the Seleucids, except the Seleucids have a shitty starting point because their settlements are spread. Like, the Seleucids have the best unit roster, okay? They got the long-speared pikemen, the long-speared, phalanx unit, silver shield pikemen, they got the Roman legionnaire mimics, they got war elephants, they got chariots, they got onagers, they got cataphracts, they got all the best units. Okay, like you will have factions that might have like one or two of these things, right? Like the Egyptians have chariots, the Carthaginians have elephants, the Romans have onagers, the Seleucids have all of it. The only problem with the Seleucids is that their position on the map is really shit. Their settlements are far away from each other. They're literally a thin nation. They're like a thin strip on the map, and everyone attacks it. Like a different faction will focus on taking on one of their settlements. It is a complete mess, and they're usually the first faction eliminated from the game in every playthrough. But if they can make it to the late game, they are a freaking monster because of their unit selection. It's actually pronounced Seleucid. I will call them the Seleucids because me mispronouncing words is part of the tradition here at Thalmor. So, yeah, the diplomacy in Total War games is complete horseshit. The remaster makes it some better. And speaking of the remaster, that's what I have been playing. I was really thrilled for the remaster because it looked really good. I got it, and it is pretty good. The game is beautiful, but somehow the performance is still the same. That's kind of weird, but I'm not complaining. Lots of little quality of life improvements. Diplomacy is some better. You have native like workshops, Steam workshops. You can download mods and play them very easily. My only complaint is I don't like the user interface. The user interface in Rome Total War was very simple and easy, and in the remaster they have overcomplicated it. It took me hours to get used to it. Now I've gotten used to it, but it's a little weird. Some things aren't easy to like find. Like I had to look up how to do some things. That's how weird it is. But I've liked the remaster, and I've liked playing mods for it. It has been a very fun time. I have to look up how to read. I don't know how to read either. It's really hard to read. Probably, it's actually really impossible to know how to read right. But the remaster is fun, and I definitely recommend it. If you liked playing Rome Total War years ago, play the remaster. It is a fun time. Michael Scott says, "Me and a friend are having a debate. What was Barbie's boyfriend's name in Toy Story?" I want to know. Ha, David! Ha! I knew not to answer because Michael Scott has been trying to do that for a while now. That's his thing around here. He tricks people. He's a trickster. You just have to disregard what Michael Scott says, basically, at this point. So that's Rome Total War Remastered. I do recommend it if you got the money and you want to revisit the game. I've done some minor housekeeping here in the server. And one of them is Michael Jordan has been removed from staff. He has been inactive in staff chat. He has not showed up to any of the shows. He just has not been. He hasn't been being a staff member. He's been inactive and gone. I did a search for his messages in the server, and he hasn't left a message here in over a month. And so I feel like he's not doing his duty as a staff member. So I have removed him. And maybe if he was being a good staff member, I would have messaged him to see what was up. But the reality is that for the time he's been on staff, he's been kind of unreliable. I am not shitting on the guy. I think he's a decent guy. It's just I'm playing boss because I do take the running of the server quite seriously. And so I've removed him from staff. And I actually took it a step further. I removed his Thalmorph. He's not even a Thalmorph anymore. He's just a Thalmorite. So that's where that is at with him. I think he's busy in real life with school or something. That's what he said earlier today. I hope school is going well for him, and I hope that he catches a break from school and can be more active doing things that he enjoys doing. Thoughts on French food? I like croissants. I like bread in general, actually. So baguettes are probably really good too. Do you like? I'm not going to say that word. I'm not going to say that word. Guys, I'm pretty good at this. So that's where we at now. My other housekeeping thing to say is that Um, if you go to rules and announcements, there's actually a new rule, and that is that whenever, basically, don't abuse the bot. Don't use the bot because Rhythm got taken behind a shed and shot. I've had to find a new way with Kills Bob help and now Soup's help on how to keep playing the Thalmor Radio theme. And one of those involves using this new bot that we have. Do not use the bot. If you interrupt this show by playing a Rickroll in the middle of the show, you're banned. You're gone. You're done. So, exactly, David. You will be declared a chucklefuck live on air and executed. It will be over for you immediately. No trial, no warning. You're done. Zig, you get a pass because you've been here a long time and you're part of staff, and I like you, and you're number 2 to this show, so you get some leniency for your station. But for everyone else, it's over. So behave. Now, of course, when the show is not going on, um, you're more free to do what you want. Don't be a fuck up in the after show. Like don't fuck around the after show. Let people talk. But if it's Tuesday morning and it's you by yourself, if you want to hang out in a voice chat and play music like a psychopath, go ahead, fine, be free. And yes, Soup, of course you get a pass, and so does Kills. But anyone who's not a member of staff will be fucked, and not in the good way. My last internal, this one's going to take a little bit of time to go over, actually, is Shifty makes an announcement. And this came out of the blue. What was I doing? This was yesterday at 6. That's right, I was at the job site doing cement or wanting to do cement. And I checked Discord and I saw this message from Shifty in the announcements room because there was a ping from the announcements room. And Shifty says a lot, and I'm going to. Should I read it? Should I read it out loud? I think I should read it out loud. I think I will. Yeah, I'm gonna read it out loud. So, Shifty makes an announcement. It's a thick, girthy paragraph, and it goes like this. I may have joked around about having a multi to see if people who are anti-Shifty were still seething and would go on a witch hunt, but now I will state that I am officially only on this Discord username, still not banned despite being labeled as dangerous as Osama or Bin Laundry tier. Hide your Gabby Petite white women on politics and war for me tier. I honestly have more to concern myself with than politics and war, so I will be fine. I have reduced the amount of alliance and affiliate service naturally on my own because while your need exists on the game chat that I'm banned from. That being said, I will exist upon positive reception or invitation to your community. I am like the devil. If you invite me, I will come. I think personally, as people who have left the game, whether voluntarily or not, I think I won the game. I made a special niche for griefing, leaking, toxicity, meme culture, and blatant go fuck yourself culture that will be unmatched for a long time. I legitimately hope someone takes my spot. Whomps ever does, you have a massive shoe to fill. None of this gay ass Nike Air Force One shit, but some vintage Jordan originals. The type of shit that Space Jam opening day motherfuckers wish they had in the early screenings of the day. Shit. That being said, I will always have my Discord and will always reply to friends. Should this account get somehow banned, I will find a way to return eventually. Don't worry, Shifty isn't dead yet, and you won't see him on national news. Sorry, Cosmo, Shifty ain't finishing the fight at everyone. P.S. If you banned me, though, you're a cocksucker. Zarya, the Fighting Pacifists, Alex Krampus, etc. Shifty did nothing wrong. White power symbol, yee. And the reaction to this was mixed. Some people thought it was based. Some people thought Shifty was being mad. I think both are reasonable thoughts to have. Probably not the most needed thing, but that is okay. Shifty is saying that he is done with the game's community, and I think that is reasonable for him. Once your nation has been banned, there's no tether anymore, right? Because even though playing this game is mainly passive, even though most of it is like Discord shit. Once your nation is gone, there's nothing keeping you, okay? Where's Greybird at? He's gone, right? He doesn't even talk here anymore. He doesn't talk anywhere anymore. He's gone. He's going to school, living his life, doing whatever. Shifty pretty much same thing. Now Shifty, I have kept Shifty on as a co-host, as an admin to the server. That is still the case. I have no reason to get rid of Shifty. I have had no pressure. There's been no pressure on me to get rid of Shifty. Even if there was, I probably wouldn't change anything. Shifty would have to either do something really fucked up for me to get rid of him, or ask to be gone, or leave himself. There was no reason for me to remove Shifty. Shifty was my co-host here pretty early on, before even Zig. Now I would consider Zig my number two, but Shifty is still welcome here. So that's where that is. Greybird is still here, but he doesn't talk, which was what I was saying. He doesn't say anything. So yeah, and Arctic is still around, but that's okay. So that's where things are now. There was a very interesting and funny slap fight between Shifty and Ziria in one. I think it was in General or something, and that was fun to watch. But that is what's going on there. And I don't really have much to say about this, except I still consider Shifty a friend. Nothing has changed, and you know, hopefully someday he can be unbanned and can play again. But that's all there is to say with that. I think now it's time that we talk about politics and war. I don't know why my throat's hoarse. Like I went to Subway. It was after this concrete work yesterday. I went to get my Subway, and I was trying to talk to Subway girl, and Subway girl was like, "Huh?" repeatedly, because she couldn't hear me, because I wasn't able to talk as loudly as I wanted. It was really weird. So my voice is still seemingly a little fucked up today, and I don't know why. But that is okay, because I can still talk. My voice has not been silenced. My voice has not been silenced. A Subway Girl won listening to her, but that's okay. So, Roberts is Roberts here? Is he here? He is. Roberts, in an attempt to redeem himself for the mad roasting he got, made a really funny thread. Well, it's not funny, but it's really cute and nice, and I really liked it. And the thread goes like this: Roberts attempts to make sense of how food is calculated in politics and war. And he does this by saying that um, basically he poses the question and tries to figure out what is exactly one food. And he does this by using numbers given in that, like, what is it? One food feeds 1,000 people or whatever. And he tries to make sense of this by using what is considered, the regular caloric intake of the average person every day, what they need. And he came to the conclusion, very interestingly, that if you assume one food is a bushel or a ton of corn or whatever, that it would feed, about that many people, and that the game's calculation for food is quite reasonable. And I thought that was really funny, because I like Alex has probably given not that much thought during the early development stages of politics and war to like how much the mechanics like match up to real life, right? And so what he was most interested in doing when he was developing politics and war was probably do the numbers work mechanically, basically, right? And so I thought that was nice for Robert to do that. So any kind of deep dive into the numbers of the game, into there is very little lore to politics and war. Very little lore. All right, most of the game's history is done through other players interacting. But the Orbis itself, like, what do we know about Orbis? Really, we know that it's called Orbis, that it is vaguely Earth-like, but that like time and distance is kind of weird, and that apparently soldiers that are recruited come from some kind of different population than what like the rest of citizens live, the kind of citizens that go away once infrastructure is destroyed. Like, what do we know about the lore, really? And there's not much to go off of. There really isn't any. There really isn't any. And so, whenever people try to evaluate it, it's always very interesting to me. But anyways, I added on to the thread by pointing out. See, someone, it was a new player, I think, posed the question of, well, how do soldiers eat? How do soldiers eat one food per 500 people? How are soldiers eating twice the level of food? And I have an answer for this, and that is that it is considered that a soldier during a battle needs to eat about 4,000 calories a day. And so, if the average person needs 2,000 calories and thus 1,000 people can eat one food, then the math still checks out that 500 soldiers during war eat one food. So I thought that was pretty cool. The math somehow all adds up, and that is really funny. So I think that's it for that little topic there. So there's been some movement with Do Not Fear Jazz, and that is that. See, earlier this year, Do Not Fear Jazz. He has a different username now. I'm still going to call him Jazz just because I don't know how to pronounce his new username, and I don't care to. And so what Jazz did is that he made a thread asking to be accepted back into the community and to return, and he gave an explanation for a lot of things. And um, he was pretty much like everyone shunned him. Like nobody, like a few people were like, okay, yeah. I was one of those few people. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Most people were like, no, go away. And I thought that was interesting. And so eventually, after a couple pages of I think his thread has 5 pages, and I think 3 or 4 pages in, he finally said, "Okay, I see I'm not accepted. I'm going away." So he went back into vacation. I think he went back into vacation mode. He stopped logging in after that, and just I think yesterday or something, he created the Goons Alliance, and so I think a new player, probably a good player, created a nation and applied. So there's been like a little bit of movement. We'll see what happens, I guess. Is Goons returning? I'm going to say probably not. I'm going to say it's a small thing. Yeah, it could be reserving the name. Um, I don't anticipate much happening. Maybe they'll get a few members at most. I don't think Goons is coming back. I think they have moved on. Um, I don't got much else to really say about that. What avatar they could reduce their VM time later. I think that's really about it to say. I hope Goons doesn't return. I think they're shitty. I think they're bad. I don't want them back. I don't want to share community with them. Same thing with MPO. Um, I mean, Goons, they were pretty open about their feelings, and their feelings was, we're going to destroy the game. And they did everything they could to do that. They sided with MPO. They reported anyone they could for any rule violation they could, using moderation as a weapon. Um, they were just a bad influence, and I'm happy that after MPO got banned, they decided to fuck off too. And you know, to, to pass an indictment on the kind of community that Goons is, I want to share a news story. I made announcements about this a couple weeks ago because I thought it was just interesting. Let's see, it's a Fox News article. Let me copy paste the snippet. But Antifa member charged with shooting anti-vaxxer in Washington. The shooter was actually a member of Something Awful. And if you don't know what Something Awful is, Something Awful is the form that Goons comes from. Members of Something Awful are called Goons. So I thought, and actually the Goons flag actually had the same kind of grenade that's part of the Something Awful iconography. So I thought that was interesting. But that's the kind of community that Something Awful has. Um, and so Something Awful, they like to single out members of the community and use that to indict that whole community. And I think the same can be applied to them. So that's that. Hopefully they stay gone. I think they will. So now I want to go over something I've been working on for a little bit. And that is that I have an idea on how to reform the war mechanics. And it's an idea that I think is comfy. I think it's a comfy idea. Maybe a little difficult to implement, but I think it's doable and I think it would be better. Reform the war mechanics. It's not really a reform as much as it's an expansion. So I'm trying to remember. Tyrion was the first one to name the idea. Lord Tyrion was. And then when Roberts made his thread about beige, it got me thinking because wars seem to be won before they begin. Um, I can't really think of a war. There might be one or two, but I can't think of a war in which an aggressor starts it, or you know who's going to win immediately. You know who's going to win immediately. People don't Alliances don't bounce back in a war. They lose and then they stay losing. Exactly, CCT. Well, and it makes sense. You do only want to go in when you're sure you can win. And so you should have. You should have lost, but you didn't. And like I think TKR, they started off winning Guns N' Roses, and that maintained all throughout. But anyways, the idea is defensive improvements, and my idea was, what is a way that people who are losing can stop losing? And this is the best thing I can think of, defensive improvements. And the way they work is that in a defensive battle, your defense improvements get used and they kill so many of the attackers. And so I'm going to go ahead and post the numbers here. And I want your all's ideas on what I have. This is a alpha overview of the suggestion. You know how in game development you got the alpha and the beta and the release. This is the alpha. This is just my idea, and this is where my thoughts are. So sentry guns is the first one. Sentry guns kill 500 social defensive battles. Sentry guns cost 20,000 to build. Operation costs are 6,000 per day, 500 a turn. You can have 5 sentry guns per city. Sentry guns do not affect pollution index. Tank traps destroy 50 tanks in a defensive battle. Tank traps cost 50,000 to build. Operation costs 12,000 per day, 1,000 a turn. You can have 5 tank traps per city. Tank traps do not affect your pollution index. Anti-air guns destroy 3 planes in defensive battle. Anti-air guns cost 150,000 to build. Operation costs are 24,000 per day, 2,000 a turn. You can have 5 anti-air guns per city. Anti-air guns do not affect your pollution index. Sea mines destroy 1 ship in defensive battle. Sea mines cost 400,000 to build. Operation costs are 30,000 per day, 2,500 a turn. You can have 3 sea mines per city. Sea mines do not affect your pollution index. It's a guaranteed 3. These are guaranteed guaranteed kills. So the idea is this: you go to launch an attack on some of the defense improvements. The battle calculation goes as it does right now, except there's a check for how many defense improvements they have, and that gets added. So if you launch a ground battle against someone with 20,000 sentry guns and 0 tank traps, you lose 20,000 soldiers extra. And maybe that changes a immense triumph to a moderate success. Maybe it changes a Pyrrhic victory to an utter failure. The number one challenge is that when you get blitzed, your infra gets burned immediately, so it's pretty costly to switch your build with really infra. That is true. And so the play would then be you run so many defensive buildings like when you're milling up, when you think you might be attacked, or you could do a counter blitz with it. So, for example, you get hit, and then for a couple weeks you organize, and then you build, you replace the expensive. Now it is expensive. You replace the expensive infra. You do your 5553 build, but then you include another 5553 for the defensive improvements. The defensive improvements do mirror current military improvements. They're both 5553. 18 plus 18 is 36. So with like 2 nuke planes and like 2 other random improvements. So 2 infra. So it would be expensive. It is expensive. That's the point. And if you do the math across, like, say, 20 cities, 5553 defensive improvements, it is expensive to build and it's expensive to maintain, which that is intentional. Because I think it's supposed to be that way. What if Alex catch double buying when you demail? You have to wait 6 hours to remail. And that's why I say this is an alpha. This improvement is made in mind with the current meta. So currently how wars are fought, currently how beige works. This is what this improvement is designed with in mind. If double buying gets changed or patched, then I don't think this idea is as useful. Because my idea is this: you get blitzed. This is how you come back. You switch your improvements. You build the 3 defensive improvements and you double buy. So guess what? You can double buy against someone with 5553, but guess what? Someone with 100% military going against someone with 40% military. You're still fucked, right? But someone with 100% military going against someone with 40% military and the defensive improvements, you're in a much better position. And defensive improvements are cost prohibitive. It's 18 improvements, okay? 18 improvements that could be going towards production of resources or cash. That's money lost, but it's also money lost in that the operating costs are also expensive. You're losing money either way. So that's what that is with that. This week gets stacked a large city counts. It does get stacked a large city counts. It does. Let's say I have 100 anti-aircraft guns, build 1 plane, attack lieutenant plane, and try to destroy my 1. No, I don't think they wouldn't attack to lieutenant planes to try to destroy your 1. Buff soldiers score military increase to square racing square. You help the losing side by allowing them to do larger down declares. That makes sense, Borg. And yeah, that is one thing would be, okay, I build the defensive improvements, I attack my attacker, but as soon as the losing side becomes the winning side, couldn't the winning side just do the same? And the answer is yeah. And maybe that's a flaw in it. I haven't worked out the philosophy there. This may ultimately not even be a good idea, but on the surface, I kind of like it. And that's why I'm proposing it here to get ideas. Maybe it's a shit idea. I think these improvements would have to be new attack options. I agree. I haven't worked this out yet, but I think having destroying, first off, obviously you can attack defensive improvements with missiles. I see no reason why you can't do that. And also, I was also thinking as an extra suggestion, spies can also destroy improvements. Maybe spies destroying improvements can be limited to defensive improvements. Maybe it could be made like all of them. And defensive improvements would only get activated if you were in defensive fort, not in attacks with you as a defender. I don't know about that one. I have to think about it some more. Now, um, my idea for this doesn't just stop at the improvements themselves. I also have two new projects to go with it as well. The first project is the Integrated Defense Network. Integrated Defense Network is a national project that decreases the cost of defense improvements by 50% and decreases the daily upkeep by 50%. So, Integrated Defense Network is a way to make it more cheaper. So that's one way that you could, like, an alliance or a community or a block or just a player can spec their nation to be more defensive based. And then here's the real doozy. And this idea is kind of crazy, but I think defensive improvements, if implemented, would be a pre-dramatic change to the game. And I think it's only fair that they have a pre-dramatic project to go with it. The military first policy. Military first policy is a national project that doubles the effective defense improvements while increasing their cost to build and upkeep by 600%. And so, what military first policy is that it is stupid. It is stupidly expensive to get, and it makes your defensive improvements stupidly more expensive to maintain. But they kill double the units, which, if you do the math on it for like a 30 city nation, it's some crazy numbers. And you can do both. That's why the upkeep goes up by 600%. So even with the discount, it's still 3 times more expensive than normal. And perhaps the project is way too overpowered. Like I said, this is just an alpha idea. I am open to not just feedback here, but feedback from all across the community. Maybe ultimately it's not right for the game, and that's fine. This is an idea I had. I just want there to be a way for the losers to lose less hard, because, and I think players have done a good job right now, because if you're losing, guess what? You can still missile and nuke high infra targets. You can still one ship and attack with full soldiers. You can still farm base, build up a lot of military, and attack low military, high infra players. Like, players have done a really good job of trying to make the best out of a bad situation. But I still feel like options are a little bit too limited. And so this is a way to try to help equalize things out. Towards big city devs, way to Thalmor, you make the HW upper tier even more OP because they build this all over these cities. What does HW stand for again? I don't remember what HW stands for. Hollywood. So let's say Wampus decided to build a military improvements and get the military first policy project. Like, he'd be invulnerable then. But he's already kind of invulnerable. So I don't know about that one. The whales are already pretty hard to beat though. Your army is salivating over these, so yeah, it's a problem. Sorry, to beat one nuking makes sense. Yeah, I mean, like, maybe that's a problem. But I don't. Those really big nations like Alpha and One Piece, like, they're already, their existence is already like a spit in the face of Alex to begin with. Like, they are a scourge to Orbis already. So I don't know what to make of them. Besides, they should probably be destroyed. Yeah, we can use 2/3 all your army of the project while you can ball declaring war. But here's the thing, like, you're not, the reason why they're expensive is because you're not going to want to run a 5-5-5-3 defense improvements during peacetime because it's expensive. Those are 18 commerce improvements, 18 factories, 18 mines and farms that you're losing out on. But you're also losing out on millions and millions daily in cash as well. You're not going to want to run these in peacetime. You could, but the economic growth of your alliance would be fucked. So, it's the hope would be that defensive improvements would introduce a whole new play style. You have your regular people over here, your farmers, you have your raiders over here, and then you have like the turtlers over here, the porcupines over here, who are they're not proactively raiding, but they're also not going all out on ROI. They are kind of in the middle, I guess, with how they're slowing their economic output. They're slowing how fast they can build cities, but in exchange, like no, your other entities are heavily disincentivized to attack them because they're already ready to go. But then switch to the moment war start, and then you're not touching them. These are more defense slots and allow smaller city builds. They should take larger ones. Make damage done on both sides depending on score. Lower score, less damage taken. Make down deck extremely costly. I mean, I would cut down how many you can build by a little bit to make it 5-5-3. That makes sense. Maybe limiting how many you can build. Maybe that'd be a good fix. An example: if defense slots were such that 3 extra city count could attack you, and each one will still be involved in war. What Borg said earlier, I actually really liked, but I have to find it again. Buff soldiers and score. I'm gonna pin that actually, because I want to be able to come back to it. So defensive improvements is my idea. That's my suggestion on how to help losers to lose less. Let me also post the images I got for them. Sorry for the dead air. I'm just posting these images because they all have images, and I am autistic, so I really like also having images to attach with the ideas. There we go. So the first image is for the sentry gun, and that's actually like a thing from South Korea along the DMZ, not DMV. Lord help us if the South Koreans also had a DMV. But the demilitarized zone in South Korea, they actually got these sentry gun things. People like I don't know if they're fully autonomous. I don't think they are, but like South Korea has half of North Korea, so they've invested in like automation for military purposes. And I think it's pretty cool. Also kind of scary, also pretty cool. There's a picture of tank traps. That's for the tank trap thing. There's like a I think it's called a Stinger anti-air missile thing. That's for the anti-air gun improvements. You got some sea mines. That's for the sea mine improvement. You got like a underground military bunker type thing. That's for the integrated defense system. And then I had a lot of fun with the military first policy because it's actually a North Korean thing. I think it's called Songun. I think that's how it's called. And it's North Korea's military first policy, and that's how the North Koreans, like especially in the fall with the Cold War ending, how it did. The North Koreans had to do some really crazy things to maintain their hold on power and stuff, and the military first policy was one of them, along the BMW. So yeah, there we go. That is the defensive improvements suggestion, and I will be making a thread on it here shortly, probably next week sometime. And the suggestion will probably be what it is here. I probably won't change it. I'll let people discuss it in the thread itself. We will be reviewing at the suggestion of Zig. We will be reviewing Halloween flags next week, and so now it's time for the final call. What should I talk about politics and war that I haven't yet? Spooky Aaron says, "What the fuck?" I agree. What the fuck, indeed. Halloween flags. Yep, that'll be next week. Do you like how hard I have no idea what that is. EOTR? What's EOTR? I just got wind that DPE forcibly gave them. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk. I am having a stroke. I just got wind that DPE forcefully gave someone a grant to keep them in the AA. Well, that DPE some guy sounds like a cuck, and he deserves to lose all of his money to someone else. Do you like how hard Emperor of the Romans has gone on growth? I don't know how you guys have gone on growth, so I cannot speak to that. Roberts, give me some stats. How hard have you gone on growth? What kind of progress have you made? Eat orange. Do you smell toast? I don't smell toast. Define Phoenix Empire is the sword of St. Helios. Kekbaumer just said swords of needs to lose all their money. They do lose all their money. If you're going to let some random guy like strong arm you into giving them a grant in the alliance, you deserve to. Like, what's going to happen when the guy who demands the grant runs into some trouble, like a war? He's going to want to bail. You're just losing money. It's cringe. One man micro to 66 members in rank 39 in 2 months. That is pretty good. That is pretty good. Are you guys mass recruitment? Yeah, that's good progress. Let's see, yeah. That is good, Roberts. I thought, Roberts, you meant like city growth or something. Like, I thought you was rapidly growing your members. I thought that's what he was talking about. But no, you meant like general overall alliance growth. Yeah, that is pretty solid. Keep it up. The Roman, like, the Roman thing is one of those things where it's good for recruitment because everyone knows what the Roman Empire was. Everyone knows that the Roman Empire was base as fuck. Everyone wants to be a Roman, so that works. Just like 2,000 years ago, everyone wanted to be a Roman. TSE had 4 coups in 1 week. Not one member from rich members still there. That sounds really funny. That sounds really funny. Everyone wants to be a Roman, Thalmor? Yeah, basically. If you're a 90 IQ 19-year-old college sophomore and you just discovered politics and war, what alliance are you going to go to? Like, you check out the alliance. Everyone keeps telling you to join an alliance. You barely know what an alliance is. You go to look at your options, and what are you going to pick? Like the Knights Radiant? What's a Radiant Knight? Is it like a paladin from Dungeons and Dragons? What? Rose? Excuse me, girls are for girls and gay people, and I am not a girl and I'm not gay, so Rose ain't gonna work. The Syndicate? What's that? Like a mobster thing? That might be cool. They're all about money? Okay, that sounds good. What else is there? Romans? Oh, dude, like, I watched that documentary about the Romans last month, and it was really cool. I'm gonna be like, yeah, Romans is gonna work. Romans is gonna work. Did I say girls are for girls and gay people? I meant flowers. Flowers are for girls and gay people. So obviously, the 19-year-old, 90 IQ college sophomore is not going to want to be part of Rose. Wait until they find out that the Romans were super gay. Well, that's why they're 90 IQ, because such knowledge escapes. Which it's what 90 IQ is average. It's just on the lower spectrum of average. But that's what I'm describing. I'm trying to describe like the average politics and war player, which I don't know. Is there such thing as an average politics and war player? I don't really know if there are. Everyone seems kind of well. Actually, yeah, there is. Most of us are male and like in our 20s. Thumb was an example of it. Yeah, I probably am actually. All right, so I think it's it for politics and war. I think I'm now ready to talk about whatever it's called, which is okay. Yeah, real life time. Let's talk about stupid real life politics. And the only thing I want to talk about is the supply chain. And so I want. This is one of those topics where, first off, I want to hear from you all at your stores that you go to regularly. How much are you noticing empty shelves? And maybe not overall, just in specific goods. What is your local store having trouble keeping stock? There are no cars. Okay. Pretty much not at all. Chad says a lot. Chad also says price has been going up a good percent. Stores not much. Haven't noticed anything personally. Building materials are drying up. Food is going up. Gas is poofed. Sausages are going up. Yeah, everything is getting more expensive. That is true. And that is one angle of the supply chain problem. Raws are drying up. The funny thing about that one is I don't know if you're talking about the game or real life. Kentucky doesn't seem to be affected much, to be honest. Lots of people panic buying and hoarding. Monty Pritter go brrr. Walmart was out of Gatorade for over a week. Money machine. Um, it seems like our local Walmart has trouble keeping some stuff, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Seems it's more regional. Some of the issues, and with there's a, it's multifaceted. So first off, remember, I'm just a stupid guy on the internet. I don't know anything about anything, but it seems to be a multiple, lots of things going on. The biggest one seems to be trucks, big trucks, not nice jacked up F-250s. I'm talking the big dick trucks, 18-wheelers. So they have a problem in that they need a special chip, and I think it's related to like fuel usage or whatever. Problem is that this chip is not being like manufactured as much as it should be, and they can't just say fuck it without the chip because it's regulated by the EPA. The EPA wants these 18-wheelers to have the specific chip because it's some kind of environmental thing. And so trucks are just having to not run as much as they could. So that's one issue. There's some kind of issue at ports in that ships are not being unloaded as quickly as possible. I'm not sure what that's about. It might be a labor problem because there is a labor shortage. Um, Places are having trouble filling all of their slots for employees. Probably not because there's no one to work the position. It's just more because people are just not willing to work the same jobs for the same amount. And so, nobody, like, I notice this locally too. Like, Huddle House closes at like 10. The Huddle House is supposed to be open all the time, right? That's the slogan. Any meal, anytime. Well, not anymore, motherfucker. If it's past 10 and before 6, you ain't getting your mozzarella sticks with bacon. And it's not happening. Wendy's supposed to be open to midnight. They're closing early. McDonald's is still open 24/7. They're still open. Um, there's a Dairy Queen next town over. They close every Sunday. Um, so there's a labor problem. I think maybe that's why they can't unload the ships as quick. Is because they can't unload shit as much as they could. Labor issues. I think labor issues is a big one too. Um, no one wants to do really hard work for $11 an hour. That's not really happening much anymore. And I think it's kind of. I think it's a labor problem. I think 18-wheelers aren't on the road like they should be, and they're having trouble unloading ports. So we'll see what happens with that, I guess. Hopefully it'll get better. Hopefully it'll get better. It might not, but hopefully it will. I think that is it. Do I want to talk about anything else? Biden hasn't done anything interesting. Harris has done anything interesting. Oh, Trump is doing rallies. I saw that Newsmax. It was like doing a stream of Trump's rally earlier this week. Apparently, Trump is doing rallies. I'm guessing he's not doing it for money because I don't think he's making that much money off of them. I mean, I'm sure that they're collecting donations at the rallies. I'm sure they're selling merchandise at the rallies. I'm sure that the venues are giving Trump a cut of what they make from the rallies. But I imagine he's doing it to keep energy up because he wants to run again in 2024. Why else would he do it, right? I mean, again, I'm sure he makes some money from the rallies, but I imagine like the Trump's lifestyle and his investments. I imagine that's how he lives. I can't imagine he's making enough money from these rallies to fund his lifestyle. So you probably expect Trump to run again in 2024, which will be interesting because I think DeSantis might run. Well, no, DeSantis might not run. DeSantis might just want to stay in Florida, which is probably where he's best needed, to be honest. Do you think Trump would die of old age for 2024? Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, I saw that Avatar. Trump put out a news thing in which he said Republicans shouldn't vote in 2020 or 2024 if Republicans won't investigate election fraud. And I like what CCT said about it, which is that that's just Trump trying to have some leverage against Republican decision makers. There's increased demand for shipping is because number one, COVID times people are buying more and more of it's being shipped, and two, it's making up for lost time when global shipping was reduced to COVID in China. Yeah, I think that's part of it too. I think it's the after the supply issues are the after effect of the COVID lockdowns that's still going on. Have it by run. Yeah, there's lots of names. I think even Mike Pompeo also said that he was going to try a primary if Trump ran, which was funny because like is your average Republican going to pick Mike Pompeo, the literal head of the Glowies, over Trump? No. Trump almost died of COVID. Did he? I think he was in pretty good hands the whole time. Um, when the supply chain collapses and our economy implodes, at least some of the CEOs of the 70s and 90s got to post record profits by shipping jobs overseas. Not like the COVID lockdowns was really good too for big tech companies like Google, like Amazon stock went way up, Facebook stock went way off. Just cringe. Just like and all these small businesses closed down, these smaller franchises closed down. Just complete nonsense, man. But whatever. 957. Should executive corporations be held accountable for destroyed middle class? I would hold the politicians liable first. I mean, I I hate corporations too, but like, what's the spectrum that a corporation can do to me? They can like sell me ads, right? Make me buy their stuff. The government can kill me. So I will hold the government liable first before I hold businesses liable. We let the people bribe leave, politicians are the scapegoat. Why not both? To be honest, why not both? That is perfectly acceptable. I can get behind that. That's fine. But like the problem is that I'm concerned as someone who comes from a family of small business owners that if you start blaming the corporations, then that will eventually trickle down to all businesses bad, right? Because what do the communists say? The communists say that like all businesses are bad, all capitalism is bad, right? And like I don't want the communist militia to gather me and my family up and shoot us, right? That goes against my best interests. Whereas if we just blame all the politicians, that's like that won't come back to haunt me. That's fine. Like I don't want the nice um secretary lady at the courthouse to get strung up and shot. That's not good. But like I don't work for the government and I despise the government. So I can live with that outcome. Um I'm going to vote for an old man. I'm going to vote for Bernie Sanders. The government is the one pulling the trigger. Wall Street and Pennsylvania Avenue should both be held accountable for the destruction and neglect of our nation. It's not bribing as long as trickle down what happened. It's not still up to BA, so you either hold criminals accountable or not. Communism together by simply having morals. Unmute me. Pinjasaki. We're going at it. Fuck it. It seems I'm jiking. I'm at work. Roberts, I will unmute you if you want. I was just reading through all the chat first. If you want to talk, we can talk. That's fine. The issue with corporations is that they are just doing what they are due to laws and pursuit of profit or distribution. Wanting corporations to do the right thing is a solution when the walls remain. And like, there's a lot of quid pro quo between the government and corporations, though. They're very. I know Cthulhu, if he was here, could talk about this much better. The corporations and the politicians are in bed with each other, and I think that's a good indictment against the corporations. I mean, obviously, there are other things you can hold corporations accountable for, such as how they pursue profit at every opportunity, regardless of the greater impact to society. Like, for example, Doritos. The corporation behind Doritos hired scientists to figure out how to make Doritos as addictive as possible, right? Or how video game developers hire scientists to figure out how to make video games as addicting as possible, like Clash of Clans or clicker games or online like MOBA games and stuff. Like this shit is all designed to keep you addicted and like a slave in some way, right? I think that is also a good indictment against them. But at the end of the day, that's all a corporation can do to me. Whereas, again, the government can shoot me. So it's like, well, these are both shitty entities. But if I had to pick, I would rather take a hammer to the government first before I do Pepsi. Yeah, same here too. It's retarded. The corporations decision by politicians is legalized. Yeah, lobbyists and stuff. It's pretty cringe. And I don't know how you fix it either. Voting doesn't help. If voting fixed anything, we wouldn't be able to do it. It's just a mess. I don't know how you fix it. Corporations have destroyed small business. Small business don't exist and don't exist anymore. That's not entirely like. There's plenty of small businesses all over the place. There's a small little cupcake place in my town. There's plenty of small businesses. Now, yeah, most gas stations are franchised, most restaurants are franchised, but you can find small business in every town. There's still small businesses all over the place. But yes, many small businesses have been destroyed, and that is tragic. And that is really, it's awful. It's a sin. It's a sin. It's awful. I'm talking about sectors. Okay, maybe that's okay then. Oh, the small retailers? Trying to think of a small independent grocery store, that is pretty hard. There's a small local grocer like 45 minutes away, and that's all I can think of at the top of my head. Now, if you want to discuss small independent business, a lot of them are online now. E-commerce is it's still blowing up. It's going to blow up for a long time to come. There are tons of independent businesses online. Brick and mortar, not so much. Brick and mortar, not so much. But online, man, you can find lots of stuff. E-commerce is just small business offshoring more jobs. That's not true. I mean, yeah, you know, if you're a small e-commerce thing, like you might hire a what are they called? An online I can't think of the proper word for them, an online assistant from like India to do some work for you. Like, yeah, there is that, but like Like an e-commerce place will have the margins to hire actual Americans. No, 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 Justinian, no. I mean, yeah, drop shipping. Like that is true of drop shipping, but like there's plenty of of e-commerce people who manufacture their own product domestically, and like they do hire Americans because they have the margins for them. That is the thing. Not all e-commerce is reselling or drop shipping. Thank you for the show, Thalmor. Bye, Michael Scott. Thank you for tuning in. Don't nationalize the corps, destroy them. The government itself is who allows corporations to bribe them because the government is a corporation. But large companies can lower the price, make good sales to kill small business owner. I go to Walmart rather than maybe Walmart's doing it cheaper. I go to Walmart for convenience. I go to Walmart for convenience. So we shouldn't punish those convenience brokers. So we should further shield them. What I will say is that the government makes competition harder. Like that, there's a crime with the government. You know, like the government makes it harder for people to break into a sector locally because you have, you know, town or city ordinances, county ordinances, state ordinances, federal regulation, just layers and layers of red tape to starting a business and operating. And that's something the government does. And sure, the corporations want to be that way, fine. But the government is shooting them in that regard. That's an indictment against the government. If your front door is open and someone walks into your TV, will you lay down and say, "Well, it was my fault anyways"? No, I would blow his head off and say that my life was in danger. Don't be a corp cup. If I ever defend corporations, it's because I don't want it to trickle down. Generally, the first people I see online, which granted the online masses are brainless, who cares, are people who say capitalism is bad. Capitalism is bad. An employee, a boss hiring an employee is stealing of wages, and we should kill all business owners. Like, I don't want to cede an inch to those people because if I give an inch to them, all that does is add an inch to the noose that they would probably use to hang me and my family with. So I'm reluctant. I'm like, oh, geez. Leave for 2 seconds, then back to anti-commie stuff. Because the communists would probably kill me if they could. Duh. So the blind super giant could become. I just said minutes ago that I don't. I also hate corporations, and I am totally fine with a solution that takes out both corporations and the governments. You don't have to blindly support giant corporations or be communists. Okay, Roberts is trolling now. I know you well enough, Roberts, to know when you're trolling. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're putting me on trial. Oh no. Well, I do eventually want to have a trial in which maybe Zig is the judge, and either the defense or the prosecution for one of the sides. I think that would be really interesting. Because I like that kind of. I like playing those kinds of it's just a good exercise for me to do mentally. And I don't want to be a lawyer anymore, but I have still retained my amateur interest in law, and that stuff is also interesting to me. Corps want to give system created by politicians. Well, and again, to indict the corporations, the corporations have tried to mold the status quo in their favor as much as possible. So there we go. This is the most arbitrary legalist take on people destroying. Trust me, if I had a way to not pay tax legally, I'm gonna jump on it. And same here. I would. Um, I hate taxes. All right, it's 10:10. Actually, no, I need to do a final call. Final call, real life. Any other topics I need to go over that I haven't yet? I love text because they make my money have value. That is a weird thing. Prefontaine, did I miss the war reform stuff? You did, but that is okay. Because the core of it is the defense improvements thing, and I can just post that here. Okay, Pri, I just put the statistics in chat for the defense improvements. And the defense improvements are exactly what they say they are. They are improvements and they kill a set number of units during an offensive battle. And so the numbers are there. The only thing to note is that they work together. So, like, even though you can only have 5, 5, 5, 3 of each defensive improvement mirroring military improvements, they all act together. So, if you have a 10 city player and he has 5 sentry turrets in each city, he has 50 sentry turrets. And if he is on the defense in a ground battle, all 5 sentry turrets work together against the attacker. Um, this DM is to get lost to me here. Okay, I can do that. I also had some projects to go along with the defense improvements thing, but I won't post those just yet. I'll make a thread about it later and I'll post it there. But the main meat of the suggestion is the defense improvements themselves. So that's why I just sent you. I'm too lazy to post the stuff about the projects. I believe we have triggered Robert. Robert is mad at his place of work. I'm sorry to have done this to you, Roberts. If I had your PayPal, I would PayPal you $5 so you could buy a drink and a snack at a vending machine and eat it to make yourself feel better. All right. Final call, real life. Any other real life topics I need to go over before I close out the show? Cause I'm tired. I need to eat. Actually, I'm not really that tired, but I do want to eat and I do want to watch this podcast and play Rome Total War Remastered. Literally, there's a homeless woman in my house right now. What, Zig? What? Hold on. I guess I'm not ending the show because I want to know where this homeless woman saga goes with Zig. From corporations to homeless woman has invaded Zig's house. So I don't know what's going on with this. I hope he's typing us more. But that sounds interesting. Zig is not typing. Zig has not sent any more messages. Has the homeless woman overpowered Zig and stolen his phone? Ladies and gentlemen, we do not know. We do not know. Um, will we have a Zig in the hospital saga because of this? Has the homeless woman stabbed Zig in the throat and taken over his house? Will the homeless woman impersonate Zig and go to his university job? Will the homeless woman become a Thalmor Radio co-host in Zig's place? Who knows? I was going to close out the show, but I really want to know what the deal is with this home invader that has embattled Zig at the moment. Okay, Roberts, I'm gonna ask you to calm down because you are very mad, and I think you are mad to the point where it's clouding like your ability to think. Please, for your own sake, take it down about 3 notches. I'm just spitting truth. I think you're very worked up emotionally on some level. And it's okay to be passionate, but I think going a little bit too far. Unmute me, I'll show you my Zen. Okay. Your server unmuted.
All good here. Everything's fine. I'm not mad. I'm just sad for these corp ducks.
Corp guts. Emer Bargo, what's the problem? Why are you saying fuck you to Roberts? What did he do? I don't promise. Emer, just say that you partially own Amazon and you will never hear the end of it. Say that you like Amazon, and that way you'll have beef immediately with Roberts. This is Robert. You want to see him mad? I'll get you in the dev team. What? Wait, what? What is there to be mad about in the dev team? Like, do people get really heated over suggestions? Okay, so Roberts, while I am not a fan of the corporations, I don't despise them seemingly on the emotional level that you do. So red pill me on the corporation question.
I didn't hear you, bud. What'd you say?
I do not despise corporations to the level you do. So red pill me on the corporation question. Uh-oh, dead air. No, he did hear me. He's typing. I'm sorry for the dead air. I should have talked more. My bad. Typers. Prefontaine. Oh, you're right, Zig. There is no. Oh, Zig. Prefontaine, what did you think about the defense improvements thing that I sent you? Do you have any initial thoughts? Also, I don't know if you noted, they're also really expensive to build, but also to maintain. I don't know. Zig might be in trouble. I might have. Oh, he's alive. Okay, he just typed. I might have to run out to the truck. And guys, if I have to save Zig, should I use my Templar sword or my shotgun? Press 1 for shotgun, press 2 for sword. the listeners are surprisingly split on the question, which means it was probably a great question. Three, shotgun with sword bayonet. Oh, that's good. I actually like that one. But I don't know. I have to tape it, and I don't know if the tape would be good, but that's okay. So as I await an update from Zig about if he will survive the night, I here's the thing. I don't know what's going on with Zig. Like, what has Zig said? He said that he's alive. Like, here's the thing. Zig could be in a good enough position to take out his phone and to say that he's alive, right? But like, there's still a wide spectrum of possibilities with that. Like, maybe she is shooting at him, and in between taking cover, he is only able to take out his phone and type he's alive. Because maybe in his adrenaline clouded mind, his second biggest priority besides staying alive is to let us know that he's okay, even though he very much isn't. Because just because Zig is able to type that he's okay and that he's alive doesn't mean that like he's in the right state of mind. It could be that she has already shot him and that he is alive, but that he is currently bleeding out. So, oh fuck, Soup is right. Maybe she killed him, took his phone, and typed into Discord he's alive because the homeless woman who has now murdered Zig is smart enough of the situation to know that people on his phone care about him, and she wants to put them at ease so that she will have time to escape the murder scene. Zig could actually be in a lot of trouble. I might end the show right now to head to Louisville and save him. Even though I don't know where he lives, the situation will at least be marginally improved if I am in the city that he is, in the general vicinity of where he is. What did Zig do? Zig hasn't done anything. Instead, is what other people have done to Zig. Zig said earlier that there was a homeless woman in his house right now. And when we have pressed him for information, his only response has been to say that he's alive, even though he very well might not be alive. So we are greatly concerned here at Thalmor on what the status of Zig is. I have once again asked Zig for help on this matter, or asked him if he needed help. I do not need help, but perhaps Zig does. As I wait for Zig, or perhaps the woman who has stolen Zig's phone, I will read what Robert said. Corporations exploit not just the labor of the people via paying people at magnitudes less than what they produce. They exploit the property, state resources they use. Environmental damage is evading tax, circulating laws, and shipping jobs overseas over the course of decades. I hate corporations that protect the American patriot. All the largest American companies bank with the Caymans or Ireland to avoid paying taxes. They manufacture products in China and Vietnam. Then they extract our wealth by selling us these valueless things. The backbone of the American economy has sold us out. Bought media outlets to convince us they're actually just fine doing so. All of society at large out to dry. The middle class, working class, both America and EU have just been priced are higher than living memory. Supply chains on collapse and workers are going on strike. Many corporations taking these things too far to profit at the cost of everything else in our society. It's going to do with communism to want to disband them and hold the executives accountable in courts of law. I feel like you are repeatedly forgetting why I'm reluctant to so happily like I said earlier, and it's still true. I don't like corporations either. Everything you said that whole paragraph full of valid points that I pretty much agree with. There was nothing in that paragraph that I disagree with enough about to talk about them. We are in many ways on the same page. But the government has helped facilitate the situation in which corporations are able to have that stranglehold. And the government hasn't just done that. The government does so many terrible things, especially the United States federal government. So many things that I don't even want to talk about it because that's a whole other discussion. And so my number one point is to take a hammer to the government first before going after corporations. Although I'm not against going after corporations. But personally, I am a little bit reluctant to fully get on board the anti-corporation train, and why I instead prefer to stick to the anti-government train, because a lot of the people that I see saying fuck the corporations are also on the fuck the capitalism train, or the fuck all business train, especially small businesses, which me and my family, we dabble in small business. We are small business owners. And so I don't want to give too much ground to the anti-corporation people, because I don't want to eventually end up in a situation where me and my family are the ones being strung up on a noose. So I'm like, well, I don't like the corporations either. I think they're shitty. I think the corporations and the government work together to enrich themselves at the expense of the middle class and the working class and really pretty much everyone who's not them. The number of decision makers in the country who really can affect things, it's really in the tens of thousands. Tens of thousands of people decide what happens to the other 330 million. It's pretty fucked up. But there we go. You right-wing nut jobs just label everything you don't understand as communism. Most people, our reaction live in shit conditions reason we're seeing rising extremism on both sides. How can you talk about this in 6 hours of need? Yeah. I am awaiting for news from Zig. I need to hear Zig say, I do think it'd be far more sustainable, though, and far more better for the environment and for really the collective consciousness of America if people did shop local and instead chose to grow their own food as much as possible. I want to take next year. I want to take up gardening and try squirrel hunting because I think those are good skills to have, and I would like to have to rely less on these corporations to eat. So, and that is one way to attack corporations is to just buy from them less. We also try canning. I'll probably have to. Which when I try gardening next year, I just want like a few plants or something. I really want to ease into it because if I tried like a big garden, I would just get burnt out and would not do it. So, and also I think it seems like with gardening, you have to learn from your mistakes a lot. So I'm hoping to slow, and then maybe after so many years, I can have like a full garden or something. But we'll see. Because violent intervention is not a path towards improving democracy. Bork, I don't think that makes sense with what Hillbilly said. Like, guns are useful for hunting and self-defense. I don't want peasant service on my benevolent rule. All right, so it's 10:30. I think that's it. I think I'm done. I don't know if Zig is dead. Zig is probably dead. I might have to replace Zig with Zoop, or if the homeless woman that has killed him and taken over his Discord, if she's cool, I might make her just take Zig's place. We'll see. I think I'm done. I'm ready to go eat and watch a podcast and enjoy the rest of my night. So, Soup. Actually, don't play the theme. Yeah, before I play the theme, I want to go over one thing real quick. I haven't. I've talked about. I've shared it a bit more with some people in DMs. Not the specifics on that it was happening. I have very vaguely and very infrequently referred to a ongoing situation in my personal life. One that I haven't went into details about, and that's intentional. And it's not one thing in particular. It's actually multiple things all going on at the same time, and they're all like pretty bad. But I refer to it. I conceptualize this point in my life as a season, and I refer to it all as just. I think of it as just one thing, even though in reality it's multiple things. And these things have actually made my life really, really, really hard these past couple of years. I went from living a very carefree, laid back life for really most of my life until about halfway through 2019. And then it went from being this carefree life to really much harder and much stressful. And really, in some ways, it's been hell. You know, yeah, you had MPOs last time, dropped 2019, but that's not the only reason why I almost quit the game. With everything that was happening in my life, I didn't have the energy left over emotionally and mentally to also play the game during that time period. And so I am happy to say that as of October 15th, 2021, it appears as if maybe not the event as a whole, but each component of it finally seems to be resolving. I am willing to go as far as to say that the problems that's been afflicting me and my family for about 2.5 years seems to finally be over. And COVID actually had nothing to do with it. Like I said, COVID was 2020. This all started in 2019. And actually, it was so bad that the circumstances of COVID actually made things get better. To believe it or not. And actually, COVID continues to actually make the circumstances better, which sounds fucking crazy. But like I said, I'm not going to talk about it. I don't want to give details, at least until it's over. Then maybe once it's finally over, I will share what exactly has been going on. Because I do want to talk about it, but not until it's over. So yeah. He's being held hostage. And by the way, speaking of eventually going to talk about it, we are coming up to our 2-year anniversary. I started Thalmor Radio in December of 2019, and we were almost in December of 2021. I still plan on playing this game. I still plan on doing this show. I don't foresee anything in my life changing that dramatically, indefinitely. So I'm, as far as I can tell, I'm pretty much here to stay. And I still enjoy doing this show. I still learn and grow from doing this show. It's still fun to do. It's still something that I look forward to doing every week. And yeah. So don't expect anything to change, because I don't intend to change anything. I don't expect anything to change. I'm happy to be doing this show. I'm happy to come out here week after week with all you guys and doing this and chatting here in between shows and stuff. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. I love everyone who tunes into any part of my show, but you guys who stay here, like, and talk about real life stupid bullshit with me, even though my political opinions are probably far outside the mainstream and alienating to most people, you guys are the real ones. And thank you to Zig, who might be dead, and thank you to Soup and Kills and Shifty and everyone else who has helped made this shit possible. And I think that is it. Soup can go ahead and play the theme, and I will see you guys next Friday. Soup. If he doesn't get here in a minute to play the theme, I'll play it on my phone. Okay. I'm going to play it on my phone.
Thalmor Radio. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Thalmor Radio. Yeah, he's coming at you from the top. Oh no, no, he won't stop.